Ha 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 ha. My name is Amy 2 and welcome back to Talk to Transformer. I've already got something here, so complete text. Amy 2... Oh, I made a mistake with this one. Whatever, I'll fix it next round. Amy 2 tree roots sticking out of the ground. Then I placed 3 large branches and 2 bushes. I then pushed the bushes up against the tree trunk, and the roots went down to the ground and glued them in place. Then I cut all the wood away and turned the snake into a 2-headed bow. Excuse me, what? After a couple of years, I have had to take it down due to the damage it had caused to the soil. What? That is when I first found out about necking snakes. What? What is this trash? They would run around the house looking for dead insects and love this old skunk, but I would never use any of these items. Here is my latest creation. Note, I have no problem with other people creating replicas of mine. Do not give the mo... ... What in the world was this? Amy 2 found a tree root sticking out of the ground and searched for her rabbit home. Why is she a rabbit now? The rabbit was found hiding under the root. Okay, so she's not the rabbit. She's... whatever. Found hiding under the root and came up to sit on the ground. Annie saw Ellie... You mean the girl that was in the suitcase or whatever? Giving the rabbit some water, who in turn gave Annie a scoop full of water. They had an intimate moment together, and the rabbit agreed to stay with Annie. What is this? The next day, Annie opened up her cake and was surprised to see that her newest rabbit had a hole in its mouth. What? Its paws were already bare. The bunny looked at her and Annie ran to the rabbit to give it a hug. The bunny quickly ran away, and Annie comforted herself with a piece of cake, and the thought that this was one of her cherished belongings. She found out that the rabbit... What in the world was this? Amy 2 found a tree root sticking out of the ground. I just hiked my sweatshirt to reach it. And I didn't think too much of it at the time. The next day, we had a taste of the experience the other day on our last day of walking in the forest. I had been looking through a log to see if we were anywhere. But didn't realize it was down there until we got closer to the area. And looked around for a moment. It was on a branch about 5 to 6 feet down, just past where the metal gate started to go through a tall grassy area. We eventually decided to go back and find it. And we really did find a place for it that we weren't sure about, but this was gibberish. Amy 2 found a tree root sticking out of the ground and proceeded to cut it into thirds, as you can see in the picture above. Why is the tree root sticking out? We call it the stump root barrel, and it is so important that it be removed before cutting into. The root barrel will help hold the tree on its own while new roots are set. Check out these articles from Reddit that discuss cutting the stump so that the tree can hold on to the roots it is sitting on. The stump root barrel is the only root system the tree has. The wood of the tree is in a proper state so that the stem and branches hold the tree on their own. Oh, man. Oh, man. It was so good. Root barrel. I looked up root barrel. It's a place. It's not. It has nothing to do with the tree, from what I can tell. Amy too found a tree root sticking out of the ground. She licked it, and it tasted like apple juice. The rest of the film was split into scenes of Edith fighting with various animals in the jungle, and a quick montage of Edith eating the root. The endings are similar, but the transitions between the scenes were done in a different manner. The last scene, featuring Edith and Gretchen being reborn as a couple, and culminating in Gratish and getting married and a kiss, was entirely new. From this point on, the characters moved out of the supporting cast when Edith broke up with Tony. The coaster decided to leave the project. She ended up finding another role, and the movie was picked up by Universal Studios. Edith's mother... Why did she lick the root, and why did it taste like apple juice? And why did Edith eat the root? Because you're going to be sure it's not an apple tree root. Because most of the roots you see sticking up out of the ground are of pine or whatever. Amy too found a tree root sticking out of the ground, and because she doesn't eat those, he stuck out his tongue to see if it was hollow. Well, I guess I'll have to go inside to see. Let's keep going. As soon as the dresser opens, Kelly is on the ground in the middle of the room. Hi, here I am. I haven't had a bath since I got here. Can we go in there? Kelly turns her head as Kelly's mom jumps out of the basket. Kelly's mom says, "Don't be rude, miss. Do you have a problem with me going in there? We're going to take a shower, don't worry." No. ... What is this trash? Moon drove through the underground forest. Because it's not really underground, but how there are these trees that can grow on top of other trees, and it creates like a forest on top of another forest. That's what I'm trying to go for here. They're really cool. Moon drove through the underground forest. He faced thunderbolts of lightning as he skipped along a bridge over a deep gorge. Thunder had only recently disappeared from the world, but this was where the lightning that had remained was most numerous. Its fate was somehow associated with him. "The hell?" the old man shouted in astonishment, staring in astonishment at the cattail. One could see that it was already on its deathbed. The plant's dead leaves were gnawed and fallen onto the ground. When it grew to its peak height around 20 feet, it once again swelled out, and that black, one-story high swamp with... Holy cow, that's a tall swamp. Within only a short period of time, when the earth was covered up by a thick layer of soil... Moon drove through the underground forest with his dust-enhanced boots. His boots are enhanced by dust. Running across a number of small streams, it wasn't nearly as nice as a sprawling landscape like the outskirts, but it was good enough to keep his speed up. He eventually came to the bottom of a small basin, which was actually really, really deep. At some point, he decided that running across it wasn't going to be a great idea. So he slammed his entire body into the water with a crash. Water poured down his body with great force, and he heard a metallic groaning on the other side. He dragged himself out of the water and began to grind his way to the surface, slipping under a couple of floating trees. What a terrible idea. What? Floating trees. Moon drove his car through the underground forest at 10 p.m. because the primary railway line to Derrick had been closed. This journey was not long, and the driver didn't want to waste time. But when he arrived at Surianigno, Sungay, the early morning darkness had fallen. It was nighttime, and he was hungry. I tried to cross the Tiger Station, he said, as we sat in a small cafe on the outskirts of Boholu. It was still dark and cold when I tried to cross. I fell down and got bitten on the lip. A man rushes out of the darkness to help a nimble Heston tiger. Photograph. Shafwick Ice Small. He raced. ... Moon drove his car through the underground forest that seemed as if it could stand its ground against a normal road. Besides those branches that looked as if they would snap at a moment's notice, there were almost no other obstacles to his way. Leaving this here, the boy first by blood, the second by choice. Flying through the skies in this time-beaten and forgotten land, the boy thought about how the stubbornness of a headstrong child would not even let him fly through the realms of dreams. He had no choice but to accept his fate, and now he had found the place he was looking for. He was the wolf in a pack, the girl in a quiet world, the strong ... Moon drove his car through the underground forest where his Zoliren pod was about to be driven to the bazaar. Zhang Yang stared blankly as he saw the Zoliren pod sailing into the trees. However, he didn't expect it to land right in front of him. The hole in the ground seemed to instantly disappear. The strength of the enormous head was unstoppable. Roar! A leopard and a black bear rushed over. They looked so enraged that they gave off a real beastly feel. They turned their heads and yelled, "Xiao Zhang Yang!" Zhang Yang was stunned. He turned and saw an African ape and an Australian gelada attacking him from all sides. Ah! One of the geladas leaped at him. What is this? Slater thought that talk to Transformer was ridiculous. Slater thought that Talk to Transformer was ridiculous, when suddenly, somehow, it became a plot point in the next Marvel movie. I have a feeling it'll continue to crop up as the movie and show stay fairly close to comic book continuity. It's nice to see other Disney characters getting this treatment too. The animators obviously knew what they were doing when they animated the Red Tails. Incredibly Dummy and the Titanic Sea Monster. And Happy's fur is adorable. Slater thought that Talk to Transformer was ridiculous when suddenly Wang Hong showed up at her door. We need to stop killing each other. Let's keep this a secret between us. ... Shanna were close to a point where it felt like they could just kill Wang Hong without remorse. even though they were bitter adversaries. Dr. Transformer was clearly a talented person. Well, you're one to say. Without having to explicitly say these and other things caused Shyana to immediately drop off their judgment of her. If Wang Hong is this talented, then he can do anything. This is obviously worth working with him. If he doesn't kill me, I'm not going to kill him. Wang Hong wasn't bothered. A person, ... I had to put Wang Hong in there. Slater was polishing his sword when suddenly a heavy impact came from the rear. Rattling rustle and movement, the long and fierce battle axe smashed against the armor. Craning of the blade, the player of the main house shouted out with a grave expression, "Rumble," as he raised his shield. Rushing against the fierce wooden shield, a great copper axe heads cracked in the shield's surface and went through the shield without making any sound. Plop! Half a meter square, the sturdy shield instantly crumbled. The shield broke from the impact. A dense hot blood came from the center of the shattered shield. What in the world? Slater was polishing his sword when suddenly the voice of one of the bouncer huntsmen came from the forest. Luca, with all his might, grabbed the slender sword in his hand and started running. His body moved on something like a mechanical muscles. ... And then you got these previous and next things like it's some kind of website thing. Big Boy and Buddy were digging for uranium when suddenly... Big Boy and Buddy were digging for uranium when suddenly the wall started crumbling. They were out of breath and dizzy, and when they looked up, they saw that the tunnel was strewn with the glowing rocks they had been digging through. While the other miners were sitting there in shock and awe, a man who was also being dug out appeared behind them. The mining town saw Buddy, who asked him how much the mine had cost and how much money he made. The mining town had no clue. The mining town just laughed it off and asked if they could dig more. Buddy continued, "Honey, is it worth the dig?" The mining town laughed it off and told Buddy that he could leave at any time. What in the world is this? Big Boy and Buddy were digging for uranium when suddenly a big group of 3 raging biker guys came through a hole and approached the pterodactyls. They say that they need to feed the pterodactyls in exchange for their favor. That means 4 votes if they vote on Big Boy or Buddy. Well, the pterodactyls agree with them since they have seemed to be a successful alliance in the past. They bring some meat and some tents. Then the question arises, if the pterodactyls can sense Big Boys, 4, or Buddy, 3, are there more pterodactyls? The small ... What is this? What is this crap? Big Boy and Buddy were digging for uranium when suddenly Lumpy Space Princess emerged from the side of the crater and jumped on the ball, hugging Buddy. It was at that moment where the 3 uranium fist buddies noticed one of the asteroids heading straight for their ship. Uranium fist buddies. They were glad they took the ball, but they were more than a little confused when a huge solar wind shot out of the solar system and out of their ship, shooting straight at their solar panel and destroying it, one by one. Holy freaking shit, bud! What was that? Asked Lumpy Space Princess as the ship fell off a massive rock. landing it on its back near the moon. This was a disaster. The three... ... What? Also, I preserved this because it's hilarious. I like how much solar there was. Huge solar wind shot out of the solar system and out of their ship, shooting straight at their solar panel. Big Boy and Buddy were digging for uranium when suddenly a triceratops exploded on top of them. Buddy hid under the sheet in fear as he was pretty badly injured. An out-of-breath triceratops then clawed up on Buddy, and Buddy tried desperately to get him to stop moving until he lost his courage. The triceratops put his huge teeth through Buddy's arm and severed the tendon. Oh my goodness! That is my arm! That is my arm! Buddy, please, pull it through! No, I can't, please! As Buddy was desperately trying to get his arm back on, the triceratops attempted to... What is this garbage? I like how a triceratops exploded on top of them. What in the world is this trash? Big Boy and Buddy were digging for uranium when suddenly I noticed there was more metal on the ground than I expected. It's solid. It looks like some kind of earth. We quickly got back to the big boy, who was in shock. We were so happy to find it, but we need to warn the others. No digging in the beach! They'll come back and make us pay! My team was excited too. I mean, how could you not be excited when you see a pile of precious metal? Did you dig the large overgrown berm in the middle? If so, there are more deposits to be found around the beach. Back to the beach, everyone looked around excitedly. Big Boy and Buddy were digging for uranium when suddenly Mama grabbed them away and told us to run. Buddy ran back into the house and closed the door behind him. But I heard Mama saying, "They need you," over and over again. Yeah, but what if something attacks him? I asked. Moms being mommies, you just don't want to know. Oh, come on, I've been saving up to buy my biggest toy. Can we make up for lost time? Probably not, I said. But there's still an hour till then. But how are we going to get there? Mama looked at me like I was an... Big Boy and Buddy were digging for uranium when suddenly the world became a world of uranium. Oh, good grief. The staff at Arecibo, when they heard of the discovery, fired up the cranes in our control room in anticipation. This rocket was the best spacecraft that had ever been launched to meet the challenge of discovering asteroids. They sent their drawings of what they expected the asteroid to look like to take to Goddard, and then began carrying out their prediction. What they saw was something else. As I look back at the film now, I can clearly see the dark stripes, the dark reddish color, the bands that overlap each other on the surfaces. The darkly colored surface of an asteroid is clearly recognizable as an asteroid. The origins of this mysterious ... I like how the world became a world of uranium. Big Boy and Buddy found a uranium rock on the road, so they headed for it and quickly looted the place. They then decided to leave and head back to Azka Island, the place where Earth Alliance said the portal would appear. After they left Earth Alliance, Pandora formed and began to crash land here. After that, Pandora did not appear anymore. After that, Buddy still was unsure about Pandora's existence and decided to head to Merope Island, but after they passed it, the fortress was there. It was such a large fortress, there was no way to get into it. to get to it. They flew to Metrope Island. Once there, they were challenged by the gatekeeper. They defeated him and got into a dot. But anyway, I'm gonna have to end this video here. If you liked it, please subscribe. Go look at my other videos. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.